and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. And in this video we're going to be going over some new information that has been published by Scopely with regards to an upcoming war event and also a kind of early announcement and a tentative schedule of the next War of Champions. Let's get into the info. And as you can see, here is the information on the new war tournament plus War of Champions Season 7 update. We'll just get straight into the information, and it says, new tournament around war. Brace yourselves as we gear up for a fantastic new tournament centered around wars, set to launch with a bang during the Blitz War on December the 29th, 2023. Engaging in this tournament will earn players rewards, which can be later traded in the grey market for weapon choice boxes, token chance bags, and more. But here's the real kicker. Players hitting the top milestones in every war throughout the tournament snag an exclusive avatar from the grey market. And it says you can also later swap that avatar for a War of Champions Season 7 war tokens. But they also suggest that you will not be able to get that avatar again if you do decide to do that trade-in. So obviously it comes down to how valuable that trade-in seems to be for you. This tournament will consist of 2 Blitz Wars and 2 CRWs spanning across 4 weeks. More detailed information about each war will be shared closer to their respective dates. That does mean that after the first tournament, which will be at the end of the month, just before the end of the year, effectively we'll have war every week for 4 weeks, probably rotating from the first one being a Blitz War to a CRW, back to a Blitz War, and then back to a CRW. That's generally how they've done things. 4 war weekends in a row in January, I guess, is to get people back into it in the new year. And honestly, Scopely have always been pretty bad in January to organise stuff. So this is actually pretty good. Gives them a chance to, get the ball rolling again when it comes to events and so on and so forth. I don't envisage there being potentially a proper month-long event in January, but we'll have to wait and see. Last year it was terrible. I don't think we had anything for like a month and a half, but hopefully it's a bit better this year. So that is the information around war, and here is that exclusive avatar. It does look pretty good. I do like it. Obviously, it's kind of war-related with effectively a nuke in the hands of a walker here. Kind of cool looking. And it is a one-off, avatar, but you do have the potential to trade it in if you don't care about avatars. I think that's maybe a nice choice going forward for people, like I say, who don't really care too much about avatars. There is some early information about War of Champions Season 7. It says, another important update we have for you is that War of Champions will now span across 5 months. War of Champions Season 7 is tentatively scheduled to start in the first week of February 2024, with the first qualifier. We'll be hosting 1 qualifier each month till June, with the War of Champions taking place on the 3rd week of June. Our objective behind increasing the time of the War of Champions season is to reduce the intensity during the qualifiers. We have not finalized all details yet, but we'll give you a complete picture about War of Champions Season 7 in the first week of January. However, they have given a tentative schedule in a separate post, which we can have a quick look at. And here is that information. Here it says War of Champions Season 7. So also obviously be given a bit of War Season 7 schedule. Survivors were really excited to announce the schedule for War Season 7. War Season 7 will be held across 5 months, with 1 qualifier being held each month. The first qualifier will be held in February, with the last qualifier being held in June. And you can see the details here. It will be from February to end of June. And you can obviously screenshot this now. This is effectively the tentative schedule for the next War of Champions. I would say there is potential for this being a bit of an issue, in my opinion. I think they probably should have gone for 1 qualifier less and had the actual War of Champions at the end of May. And that way they could have a break during summer, and we could have effectively a winter War of Champions that lasted like 3 or 4 months as well, and then break for Christmas. The way it stands right now, by the time this finishes, if we have a 2-month break, any War of Champions would overlap Christmas and we'd run into, problems down the line. I don't think they've really thought ahead when it comes to what comes after this War of Champions so much, but it is where it is. I think it's obviously good, but we'll see if they obviously change things up. I think it would probably be better with 4 qualifiers, War of Champions, 2 months break, and then do exactly the same, 4 qualifiers, War of Champions, and then a 2-month break of December and January. So we'll see what they decide to do, like I say. So that's it on War Season 7 and the details of War of Champions. No talk of any potential change when it comes to the Overkill situation. As you guys may know, Overkill has drastically changed the landscape of War when it comes to scoring and honestly participation. You have to be a lot more involved when it comes to warring. You can't just kind of like sit back and attack. If you want to be overkilling, you have to be much more on top of things, much more organized, which is a lot more draining, honestly. They talked about one of the reasons they spaced out the qualifiers so much was because they didn't want it to be so, intense. But I think Overkill is always going to make that happen, regardless of if it is a qualifier or not. And I think there are some people who are going to get quite burnt out with war in general, just because of how intensive, Overkill is going to be on their factions. And honestly, how disappointing it can be to lose potential matchups and honestly the War Champions as a whole, just based on effectively how many factions you get to go a bit more all in on with the overkills. I think it's always been a bit of a strange situation with it, but no talk, unfortunately, at least in these posts, of any change there. Whether it will be looked into before the start of the war season is anyone's guess, but with that only being like a month and 2 weeks away now, I very, very much doubt it, unfortunately. It is where it is. It looks like it's potentially here to stay, for better or worse. I think probably for worse with the kind of dwindling numbers that we're seeing at the moment in the game, but like I say, it is where it is. Making war more time intensive and grueling seems to be the aim of what Scopely want to do when it comes to the future of war, it seems. Do tell me your thoughts, though, on the next season of War Season 7, the kind of tentative schedule you see for Warrior Champions. Would you prefer there be 2 Warrior Champions per year, or 1.5, which is what potentially is going to be the case when it comes to Warrior Champions this year by the scheduling of the first one? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.